I tend to alternate between periods of being on autopilot and just living my day-to-day life, and other times of much deeper thinking where I reflect on values and motivation and stuff like that far more closely. And one thing I've started to notice is a real contrast between my thought processes, depending on which one of these mindsets or moods I'm actually in. When I'm just getting on with things, I'm invested in working hard and trying to climb the corporate ladder. But then when I take a step back, I find my eyes open to all sorts of different ways to view the world. But then, more often than not, those ideas tend to fade into the back of my memory and I revert back to the rat race default. Today I'm going to talk a little bit about one of my deeper framings of life, A, to share it with anyone that's not heard it before, and B, to hopefully help me try and commit it slightly more deeply into my own memory. Hi there friends, welcome back to the channel. My name's Matt, I'm an economics graduate and accountant, and importantly for today's video, I'm a big fan of the British philosopher Alan Watts, who was heavily influenced by Carl Jung and is primarily focused on things like the philosophies around life and motivation and happiness and all that sort of good stuff.
So I always ask the question, what would you like to do if money were no object? How would you really enjoy spending your life?
The particular theory or mental framing of his that probably hits me the hardest is the idea that life is not a journey. Now I know this isn't a new idea and there's all sorts of motivational quotes out there that allude to this sort of thing, but the way that Alan Watts presents the argument is so compelling. So without doing him any justice whatsoever, the idea is that the universe is just sort of out there not doing anything, there's no reason for it.
There is no necessity for it whatsoever. It isn't going anywhere.
And the word that he keeps coming back to is that it's a playful thing. His phrase, the universe is playful, is also best understood through a comparison to music, also a playful art form. You play the piano, you don't work the piano. This is the angle he's getting at, obviously very different from something like travel, where to reach your end destination is the whole point of the enterprise. He says the point of a piece of music isn't to get to the end. If that were the case, the best conductors in the world would be the ones that could play the fastest. The same can be said for dancing. The whole point of the dance is the dance, not to end up on the cross on the floor that marks the spot where it needs to finish. But according to Alan Watts, this isn't the way that the vast majority of us live our lives because of the social structures and social systems in place around us. You go to nursery to get ready for primary school, then that prepares you for high school or senior school, then you move on to sixth form and do your A-levels, then you might go to university to eventually be prepared to go out into the real world and get a job. The example he uses is that you end up selling insurance, but you could just as easily apply something like, I don't know, auditing the financial statements of huge companies. And even in these roles, there's still targets to hit and peers to beat to promotions. And all the time, this thing is coming, it's getting closer and closer, possibly after the next promotion. It's coming, but it never quite gets there. It never fully arrives.
Then when you wake up one day about 40 years old, you say, my God, I've arrived. I'm there. And you don't feel very different from what you always felt.
And a lot of people live for their retirement, which they've saved for years and years, but by the time this rolls round, often they don't have the health or the energy to really make the most of it. The gist of the theory is that people cheat themselves at each step along the way down the line. They treat life as a journey, even as a pilgrimage, thinking it'll be worth it when they get there, but it very rarely is. Now, the problem I have is I hear these sort of things and I feel like my mind has been blown, and I fully commit in that moment to live my life in a far more present way and stop getting so caught up in planning for the future at every turn. But in reality, I really struggle to do that, especially over anything constituting a long period of time. And I'm not actually sure why that is. Is that just the way I am, whatever that means? I'm not too sure. I think possibly a part of me thinks that while this sort of framing sounds cool in theory, the implication of not having a focus on what's to come means that I'll miss out on something further down the line, probably money. And on the whole, I'll possibly be worse off because I've sacrificed the opportunities for my future self by prioritizing my current self too heavily. I think that maybe sounds really deep, but it's something along those lines, something like that holds me back from living my life according to this sort of framing, which when you hear it sounds like a really compelling idea. This has felt like a slightly sort of self-indulgent video, but I do generally find this sort of stuff really interesting, and I actually find it fascinating to think about these sorts of old theories, and at times I think that can actually be a problem with them, is that they work really well in theory, and the trick is finding a way to apply them to your life in practice. If anyone's actually made it this far and has been able to follow my ramblings throughout, I'll be really interested to hear if this sort of crossroads is something that actually resonates with you at all, or even better, and it resonated with you previously and you've somehow since then been able to find a way to live your life both simultaneously in the present and planning for the future at the same time, as if your life was a car journey and a dance simultaneously. Definitely drop me a note on that one, I'd be really intrigued. If you've enjoyed this video, you might like to have a quick look at my other bit of Alan Watts inspired chat that I'll link up here. That one's only 59 seconds long, so far less disjointed thinking, which I'm sure can only be a good thing. I'll hopefully see you in that one, but for now, stay safe and bye bye.